One Punch Man Chapter 119, a glimpse behind the scenes, and a very fitting title because that's exactly what we're getting here. We're finally getting to see what is actually going on with this intricate storyline that's been going on to the side, not even a part of the main one here, for like 2 years now. The interconnection between Drive Knight, Metal Knight, and the organization. Who should we trust? Who should we not trust? What's real? What's not real? I don't know. Everything has been flipped up on its head now, but I do have a lot of stuff to talk about because I'm connecting the dots here. I've got a whole board of Bafoy on one side, Drive Knight on one side, organization, the Monster Association. I'm going in on this review, but I can't talk about everything in this review, obviously, because the video will be like 30 minutes long, and you guys hate when that happens. So I'm going to break up this discussion and all of the nuances of it into multiple videos throughout the weekend. But for now, let's just talk about everything that we can. So the chapter opens up with Drive Knight essentially saving face for Neon. He's like, look, he's not as weak as you guys thought. I just came prepared. I was able to collect data on him and observe him just rip through the support team, and then that's how I was able to overcome him. If I just went in bare bones, it would have been a different story. So yeah, that's fine. I think it's also probably one in Murata, like trying to tell us that, like, look, Neon wasn't weak. Yeah, he did get beasted, but it's only because of certain circumstances around this fight. But I also don't think it's underselling Drive Knight either. If his forms are in fact based on shogi pieces, then we have yet to see his full potential, and he still has an ultimate all-powerful form that will probably be revealed in the future. But either way, the result of the fight stands. Like, Drive Knight beasted Neon, and nothing has really changed. But anyway, this is where things are getting flipped on their head, because Drive Knight is starting to show his hand here. And I'll go into that as this goes on. But he says, in addition, I collected the enemy's battle data beforehand. I was able to gain the upper hand in battle due to these conditions. So then we see his, eyes scanning it. So right there, that's already exactly what G5 did to Atomic Samurai and everyone else. That's exactly the same thing that he did. It's the same stuff that he said too. And now that we're talking about G5, let me start off by saying I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong about Drive Knight and G5 being one and the same person. Now, I did lose this battle, as well as everyone else who was in this tribe of this, hypothesis/theory, but we have not lost the war. Because I've also stated before that either that is the case, or Drive Knight is controlling G5. And obviously, that seems to be the case here, but I'll go more into it when we reach that point. So then Sekigahara starts to question Drive Knight. He said, where have you been for the last 2 days? You just cut off communication. We thought, they took care of you. And then he starts to think to himself. He's like, there's too many inexplicable things surrounding Drive Knight's actions. Child Emperor also worried about a mole. And that's very true. There are too many things surrounding Drive Knight's actions. So then Drive Knight doesn't directly, say what it was, but he says going behind enemy lines to collect information. Just like I said, this is my way of fighting. And then he produces, this hologram, and he shows that he has information on the exact layout of the Monster Association and where Waganma exactly was located, as well as, all of the names and the pictures of the cadres and their disaster levels and everything. So, and then he explains how he got this by saying, I had to interrogate a few monsters to obtain this information, so it took a while. So we know for sure he definitely did interrogate one monster. He killed the rest of the monsters we saw him go after, but the one monster we can assume that gave him the location of the Monster Association, because after that, he gave the information to the Hero Association. He's like, look, I figured out where it is. It's in Z City, but then it never went any further than that. And then he comes up with this excuse saying that I had hoped to relay this information to the other heroes before they just went inside, but I didn't want to risk this information falling into the hands of a traitor, so I didn't contact you. And this is where it goes even further, because now he starts to claim that Metal Knight is the traitor. And that's just not true. Metal Knight is clearly not the traitor. This is his excuse. He is controlling G5 here. It's obvious, because all of the instances of Metal Knight with the Monster Association has shown that he is against them. Obviously, he went after Elder Centipede because he wanted to find out the location of the Monster Association, not because he wanted to give them his Metal Knight drone for them to collect data and control it. And I'll go more into why that's all BS also. But when Metal Knight talks to Child Emperor back in Chapter 85, well, even before that, he's like, look, he tells them about Orochi. He tells them, it's not a good idea to go after the Monster Association. They have the advantage. you're just all going to die if you do that. We should just carpet bomb or nuke that place, which is the pragmatic thing to do, but you're also going to kill Waganma in the process. But then he kind of gets mad that the Hero Association doesn't agree with him. So then Child Emperor talks to him again in Chapter 85, and he's like, look, I know you probably already figured out where the Monster Association is, as well as everything that's going on with them, so just tell us, please. And then Bafoy says, if I say nothing, the hostage is killed. But if I say something, I'll bring about the death of all of you, including the hostage. Ethical choices should be informed by logic too. So Metal Knight is essentially telling them that he does know everything that he knows, which is later corroborated in Chapter 97 when Child Emperor discovers the wrecked Metal Knight drone, and he gets all the information from the head when he sticks his little tentacle in there. So Metal Knight's technically not lying here. It's, as Aizawa would say, a logical deception, but he legitimately is looking out for the greater good of the Hero Association here. Like, he's like, yeah, Waganma dies, oh well, but I'm trying to save all of you. Like, if I tell you where this place is, you're all gonna die, so just let that piece of crap Waganma die. But then, he tells them about Orochi. So that right there, it's like, Metal Knight is not the traitor. He's not with the Monster Association. Drive Knight is friggin' lying, obviously. But then the cherry on top of this crazy sundae is the final thing that Metal Knight says to Child Emperor in Chapter 85. Child Emperor asks him what he's afraid of. Like, why doesn't he want to help them? And he's like, what am I afraid of? It's not the Monster Association itself. There's another kind of evil lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting. As soon as humanity finds itself short on protectors, it's sure to come for us. You take care. Do not trust anyone, even if they seem to be close. So that right there, he's talking about the organization Drive Knight. Metal Knight has already figured out all of this. That's crazy. I didn't really have a good understanding of what he was talking about here. I thought it could have been webcomic stuff. I thought, of course, maybe it could have been the organization, but there was just not enough information to support it yet. But now it's clear as day. He's talking about the organization here. This is incredible. And it's totally lining up with what Drive Knight's talking about in this chapter. Because he keeps saying, it's like, look, you know, everybody is down here. Watchdog's man's gone. Metal Knight wants none of this. All of the effective A-class heroes have been taken out in the support team and by Garo. So it's like, who's protecting the Hero Association? And then it's like, what if something were to happen then? So he's trying to pin all of this on Metal Knight. He's trying to say, look, Metal Knight is, or essentially, Metal Knight by proxy of the Monster Association, because he's trying to, like, propagate fear into Sitch here by saying that, like, the Monster Association is going to hack Metal Knight and get all of his information, and then they're going to get in control of his arsenal. That's obviously not true, because, like, he's not even completely sure of himself. He's like, and that's not all. Dr. Bafoy's missile launch codes and his unmanned bomber control passwords might have also been leaked here. He's fear-mongering Sitch. And why is that? Because he just wants to know one thing. He wants to know that if the headquarters comes under attack next, do you think Blast will make an appearance? So he wants Blast for multiple reasons, and I'll go into that. First, I gotta gush over this Blast panel. This is awesome! This is the second time we're seeing Blast in the manga, and this is straight up what Blast looks like. This is what his uniform looks like, his costume. It's friggin' awesome. And yes, it does resemble a certain very popular fictional character, but you guys already know what I'm talking about if you've watched any of my Blast videos. But this is like straight up what Blast looks like, and it's very interesting because one wants us to see Blast here. He's giving us more information because when we originally saw what Blast looked like in Chapter 84, we only saw him from the back and just the top part of his head and like a little bit of his shoulder, and people thought he looked like Guts, and he kind of did in that panel. But then one wanted Murata to change that to a more ambiguous, shadowy figure in the volume, and thus that's how it looked like in Season 2 of the anime. But now, it's like, no, just straight up show them what Blast looks like. This is awesome. But not only does he just ask about Blast there, he asks about Blast again, and he uses the knocked out heroes as bait for him to get Sekigahara for like an excuse to call Blast. He's like, look, all of these guys are incapacitated. We can't just leave them here. Are you sure you can't get in touch with Blast? And then Sekgar says something very interesting. He's like, I can't. Only a few association staff members can do that. So who is the select staff members that could do that? Because when we saw the executives talking about Blast, at least the mustache dude, they couldn't get in touch with him. And Sitch said that he just essentially does what he wants, and he'll only come out on his own free will. So, like, if the executives can't get in touch with him, who? Who are the association staff members that could do that, you know? It doesn't seem to be Sitch. Maybe it's Sitch, or maybe it's the Bearded Worker, you know, because the Bearded Worker is Blast. So why is Drive Knight so concerned about Blast? Well, it's exactly what Metal Knight was talking about the Child Emperor. Now that humanity is short on defenders, they're going to try to go after the Hero Association and just take over everything. But he's worried about Blast. He's like, look, is Blast going to come up? Are you sure? It's like, are we going to see Blast if something like that, you know, hypothetically, if somebody were to just attack the Hero Association right now, would Blast show up? But it's not like he's exactly fearing of him, but he should be, because Blast would friggin' solo Drive Knight and the organization if that were to come to it. But yeah, you can at me if you want. But Drive Knight also probably wants to make sure that he gains all of the battle data from Blast, because obviously everyone respects Blast. He's number one for a reason. He's over friggin' powered. So he wants to collect all of that data on him, gain more power from that, and then he wants to take out Blast so that he's no longer a threat, and they're essentially unstoppable at that point. And as soon as Sekgar is about to contact the headquarters and tell them that they need to strengthen their security, boom, what a coincidence, G5 shows up and shoots his friggin' hand off right before he can make that call. So isn't that a coincidence that he shoots him right as he's about to contact somebody? This is clearly not something that Drive Knight wants, because this is his opportunity to overtake everything, or at least call the strike on them. And also, G5 is shooting Sekgar. He's not attacking Metal Knight at all. And as soon as Sekgar wants, Drive Knight, as soon as he wants Drive Knight to attack G5, he's like, oh, well, I can't. I wish I could, bro. I just don't have any energy left. And then G5, like, yeah, I can't detect any energy on you, like cooperating with him, backing up, like, oh, we don't know each other. We're not boys. We don't have the exact same faces and eyes. We're not both friggin' weird robots. Like, oh, man, this is awesome. But it's also, I think this is proving that Drive Knight is in control of G5. That's how he was able to get all of this information, because we know that G5 went down into the crap. He is the one who literally went behind enemy lines, not Drive Knight. So I guess Drive Knight was just chilling outside. And this actually is, it makes more sense that rather than Drive Knight going into the Monster Association himself and risking everything, he just sent one of his underlings to do it for him and then feed him all of the information. So, like, that's it. And then G5 breaks down, and we see that he has, like, a smaller, like, a better-looking version of what G4 had. So that's, I guess, what Atomic Samurai was going after, like, when he Atomic Slashed him and he couldn't cut the core. That's what he was talking about here. So, pretty durable here, since this little guy survived an Atomic Slash, essentially. And then just when all hope seems lost, what do you know? Genos shows up. Daedric Genos back in action. Pretty apropos, because I just talked about him earlier this week on the channel. Daedric Genos explained, but we're kind of getting some insight into him, because I questioned a lot in that video, like, because Dr. Crescendo says, like, he has no balancing factor. He's all offense. So what does that mean? Did he have no speed? Did he have weak armor? Well, we're seeing that he at least still has Jet Drive Arrow, and so powerful that he friggin' one-stomps G5's true form. And like, he's like, looks like an upgraded version compared to last time. He's talking about G5, of course, is upgraded to G4, but he one-shotted him. And as we saw, G4, or pre-G4 Genos, struggled, of course, with G4. Like, he was completely, like, battered and wrecked by the time the battle was over, when we saw him, you know, go to Kuseno afterwards. But he's like, still, it seems I'm upgrading. faster speed. So yeah, I mean, Daedric Genos has already said that he's the most powerful he's ever been, but this is giving us some insight that he's ridiculous. Like, this little guy was able to tank an atomic slash, essentially, maybe? I guess, right? Because he survived it. But G4 Genos just stomped him. Stomped a mud hole in him, like, almost literally. And then it ends with Genos, like, looking at Drive Knight. He's like, what's the situation here? And then Drive Knight's like, damn it, Genos showed up. He's ruining everything, essentially. But, like I said, so much more to talk about, so much more to go in depth with. But I'm going to have to save it for another video. But let me know what you thought about this one. If you liked the review, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon that gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll